is What's Up and Why, bringing you the bright side of life, one fun moment at a time. Brought to you by the New Thought Media Network. Please put your hands together for your hosts, Rev Casey Taylor and Miss B Lovely.
Yay!
Where them fans at? What's up, guys? Thank you for joining us for another episode of What's Up and Why. I'm over here being patriotic, using my little fan that I took to the Cowboy Carter concert. How you be, Rev Casey Taylor?
I'd be good. I love that you are on your Cowboy Carter kick. You know, I went with one of our other cousins in Chicago. Did you just go this weekend? Is this why you live right now?
I went Monday, so started off the week on an excellent note. It was I went with my mom and one of my little cousins from North Carolina. It was both of their first time ever seeing Beyonce, and they was blown away. And I told them we was gonna have a good time. They didn't believe me. Well, they did believe me at first, but they didn't realize the magnitude of how the experience of seeing a Beyonce show in person is. And I've been seeing Beyonce since the Mrs. Carter show world tour in what was it? I think that was 2013. And I just want to say this woman, she always finds a way to top her last show. Renaissance was the best concert I've ever been to. And I didn't think that she would be able to top Renaissance, but Cowboy Carter, it blew me out the water. I think her shows are on the same level as a Michael Jackson, a Tina Turner, Prince, that kind of vibe. I want to go see Cowboy Carter again. That's why I got my fan out.
I am with it. My very first, it wasn't a Beyonce concert. I saw Destiny's Child back in 1998, and Mariah was there too. It was they had one of those radio things. It was that concert, to this day, is one of the best concerts I've ever been to. NSYNC, Boys to Men.
That's a good lineup. Mariah Carey, Destiny's Child, NSYNC, Boys to Men.
Yeah, and that's who sticks with me. I mean, the whole thing. When the lineup came out, I mean, whenever Mariah was coming to Chicago, I absolutely had to be there. Love that throwback graphic. We have FYI, let me give a shout out to our brand new backup producer. Our main producer, Clarissa, is out of town, and we needed a backup producer. And Tasha trained yesterday and is throwing up throwback signs for us today. So grateful that she said yes and that she is supporting us.
Giving our fans for Tasha today.
Yes. So that was my first Destiny's Child show back in '99. I've seen Beyonce a fair amount of times since then, and it's been a really beautiful thing to watch her grow from this kind of cookie cutter pop star to somebody who is really blurring the lines of artistry in the pop culture, that. And I hear you. I did not get a chance to see Renaissance live. My life was doing what it did. And I didn't expect to see Cowboy Carter either. Life was doing what it did, where I didn't think it would happen. But when our cousin was like, we gonna get some $98 tickets while you're in Chicago, what am I gonna be like? Nah, I'm not gonna go, and even that day, I was like, whatever you want to do, I'm really not feeling it. I didn't feel like dealing with Chicago-ness. We had this wild thunderstorm in Soldier Field that was tornado warnings. It was a whole thing. But despite that, and this is, I think, one of the things that what you just said about Beyonce being her concerts being akin to Michael Jackson and Tina Turner, is that Beyonce fans, to be in a setting where you're outside and there's a tornado warning and weather is weathering, to be in a stadium, Soldier Field, full of Beyonce fans, that each person operated from, it was a community. Like, we were in this together. It was not a every person for
Yes.
themselves. Like, it was everybody was looking out for one another. Somebody lost their hat on the other side, and we're all like bunched up together because they didn't let us inside. And we all worked together to, like, whose hat is this, find it was sunglasses, that's what it was, of like finding, they worked together to identify who owned these sunglasses and to get
Yeah.
the sunglasses back to the person from across the whole stadium. So,
I,
Beyonce concerts, they change us, they bring us together. And this last one,
yeah.
Cowboy Carter, really reminded us of the beauty of America, that I think so many of us really needed this reminder during this time, this era that we're in right now.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on. I think it's something to do with the way how Beyonce's personality is and the type of fans that she attracts. She attracts people who, care about community. And my mother and I felt that in the section that we were in, because when we sat down, everybody was like, super excited and welcoming when we came in. Like everybody was on cheering and stuff because people were just happy to see Beyonce. And then these two guys sat beside my mother and I, and they was like, "You guys look so beautiful. Do you want us to take your picture?" And we was like, "Of course we do." And I was being kind of shy. My mom, she was taking great pictures, and the guy was like, "Okay, you look really fabulous. Let me get some pictures of you by yourself." He was talking about me, and I said, "Oh, I don't know how to pose. I don't know." He's like, I'll talk you through it." And I haven't had an experience like that at a concert. Now I will say, like at Mariah concerts, like the Lambily is all about love and
Yes.
positivity. So
Yes.
but it's just with the Beehive, I don't know. It's like the energy is just something different. Like we were all like, singing together. Like, it just felt like, I want to say it felt like you was with cousins you haven't seen in a long time. Because when my mother had said out loud, it was her first Beyonce concert. There was these group of women in front of us. He turned around and said, "It's our first Beyonce concert too." And we all just started talking and mingling, and the energy was amazing. And with everything that's been going on in America, like Beyonce kind of touched on that in a creative, artistic way throughout the show with her intermissions, paying homage to other Black country stars and like the Black America experience. And I just it made me have a newfound pride for being an American, especially being a Black woman in America during these times right now. So shout out to Beyonce. You probably won't see this, but you definitely inspired me in the way how she pushes herself to just top the last thing that she does. Like her only competition is herself. That is so inspiring. It's something that I took with myself leaving that show. I was like, okay, how can I be better than how I was the previous day and in my work and stuff?
Beautiful. I'm here for it. So shout out to the Beehive. You touched upon the Lamely. So I have to ask about Mariah's songs of the summer. Type Dangerous, we talked about.
Mhm.
We've got
So
the new Barbara Streisand, Ariana Grande song. How
I
you
haven't
feel?
listened to that yet. It's it's so funny because like I've never, now that I think about it, I've never, maybe I don't know that it was a Barbara Streisand song, but I've never gone to listen to Barbara Streisand. And I don't know if I've ever heard any of her music before, but I'm very much aware that she is like one of the most revered American female singers out there. Have you heard the duet that she did with Ariana and Mariah?
I absolutely heard. Is it when there's three people? What is it? Because duets two people. Try it. I don't know.
That's a good
Anyway,
point.
I've listened to it on repeat on the plane. It's a, but Barbara is very like throwback, right? She has a very like classic sound to her. So, for a Mariah, Ariana, Barbara song to come out in 2025, but sounds like it's a song that could have been written in 1955. But
Ooh, I'm gonna need to listen to that.
yeah, it has it's like very classic ballad. And I don't, Mariah doesn't come out with songs like that anymore. Like, the first, the 90s was like Mariah ruled the ballads, and we don't really get to hear songs like this very often. So I'm
Mhm.
grateful. And it's one of these, like, it's empowering, it's inspiring, and that was a vibe I really needed as I was
Yeah.
coming into North Carolina, as we were heading for our family trip. And the moment that I landed, my phone blew up with texts like, could you go pick up this cousin? And can you get this for your brother? Phone blew up. So it
The
was
things
really
we do
nice
for
to
family.
have heard an empowering song on repeat on the way to like prepare me for what I had in front of me.
Yeah, well, she actually, Mariah, because she's preparing to release her 16th album. I think it's supposed to be coming out either the end of the summer, sometime in the fall. But she partnered with Apple Music and created a sounds of summertime playlist on Apple Music. Now, if you can like just guess three songs that Mariah would pick on her Sounds of Summer playlist, what would you assume they would be or think they would be?
Of her own songs.
Well, it's a playlist that she made, so it's like not
So
just her.
not just her songs. So you're asking me for three songs that I think might be on Mariah's songs
Yeah.
of the summer playlist.
If you can't think of three, maybe one or two.
Oh my goodness, this is a hard trivia question on the spot. Let me think. What would a song? Okay, so is did she put Yes and on her playlist?
Where them fans at? Yes, she did.
Yay! Okay. I'm trying to think of like people that Mariah talks about liking. I know Britney Spears is one of them. I don't, but like, would she put "Hit Me, Baby, One More Time"? I don't
That
know.
would be a good song of the summer. That's not on this playlist though.
Okay. Well, I
So
mean, you said give me one. There's already too much pressure. So you let me know. I got the one. Yes,
Type
and
Dangerous is number one on her playlist.
okay, that makes
If,
sense for sure.
mhm. If by Janet Jackson, Heartbreaker with Jay-Z. She also has Love Me Not with Raven Lene. Love Raven Lene down.
I
Beautiful
don't even
song.
know that song. I don't think I
Oh,
even know it.
it's so good. It's like I don't want to say Raven Lene is like an indie singer, but she's really up and coming in the R&B and pop world. It's good. I'm gonna send it to you. Rock the Boat by Aaliyah, Honey, of course. Um, Upgrade You, Beyonce, Kiss It Better, Rihanna, Touch My Body, Don't Smile, Sabrina Carpenter, Rock With You, Ashanti, You Make Me Wanna,
Ashanti.
Usher.
I'm
Mhm.
surprised about the Ashanti because like back in the day for me, I always felt like Ashanti is not she's not a strong vocalist. Like I'm sure that's not a secret. Ashanti is not a strong vocalist. When people think of like Ashanti, you don't think of like strong vocalist. And Mariah feels so strongly about people not being a strong vocalist that I'm surprised Ashanti made her list. That's all I gotta say
But
about
Rock With You is a real good summery vibe. Like when it starts off, it kind of sounds like you're on an island and stuff. So like I can see like that being on the Sounds of Summer album. I can't believe that you just threw a stray at Ashanti though. She ain't do nothing. She's just
I
over there
mean,
chilling with Nelly and her new baby, enjoying marriage.
no shade. I always just felt like she was, the kind of person who was a pop star because she was pretty and did great duets with Ja Rule. But like, it wasn't about.
She's also a good songwriter, okay?
Okay, well then that's what I'm saying. I didn't say she wasn't a good songwriter. I just said she's not a strong vocal, and I'm not saying she's bad, just not strong as a vocalist. Mariah is somebody who cares about somebody's vocals with all those shots at J Lo. So I just
I will say that being a Mariah fan has helped me to appreciate vocalists a lot more. I really appreciate people who can use their voice as an instrument. And there's some people, I'm not going to name any names, but they may be popular artists and stuff, but I'm like, I don't really feel it. I love music that makes me feel something. I love Luther Vandross, Whitney Houston, Mariah, because when they sing, they bring in that emotion. They make you feel it. Like I remember being a little kid listening to Luther Vandross, knew nothing about love, never been in love before, but his songs would have me crying like I've been heartbroken or something. And I think that's the power of being, of mastering the technique of being a vocalist and laying down the
absolutely.
tracks.
Absolutely. And as you're talking about having a level of professionalism. It's reminding me of who I am giving reverence to. So we have a segment called Giving Reverence, where in each episode I give reverence to a figure in history or contemporary pop culture, just giving people their flowers, because here at What's Up and Why we are honoring the brighter side of life, one fun moment at a time. So we got to give reverence and give their flowers. And so, who I am giving reverence to today is the Oklahoma City Thunder. I know we are mad late. It's been a while since the OKC Thunder won the NBA Finals championship, and personally, I am not one to be going around giving reverence to basketball teams, especially just because I happen to live in the city where this occurred. Yes, go hashtag Thunder. So for me, like, I've lived in LA when the Lakers were doing super well. I lived in Chicago during the both three-peats as a child, and having experienced NBA finals and that kind of city fervor, I've never seen a team operate with so much grace, professionalism, and serving as a model and example for the community. One of the players has raised money for an organization that's called Positive Tomorrows that provides education. They literally educate homeless youth, that kids that are constantly moving around, or maybe their families are not in a stable situation. This is a school that's dedicated to educating homeless youth in the area, of picking them up, taking them to school, and the program associated with it is they feed them and provide all kinds of other wraparound case management services beyond just the education. And one of the Thunder players raised money for that organization. Another
Nice.
Thunder player turned 21 the day that they won the finals, and the day after. So he was like, I've never had a drink ever in my life before. Today's the day that I'm going to have a drink. And then the very next day, this man was like, I had some drinks. I didn't like them. I'm about to stick with my Shirley Temples. When you ever hear a basketball player talk about drinking Shirley Temples, and like they really, like, their family men. SGA, who's the MVP of the season, talks about like being a dad being the most important thing in his life, and just like this is just like a group of beautiful men, and this win was about them working together as a team. It wasn't that SGA was like the big star player, which he absolutely was, but that they all work together as a team and like operated as such an underdog. Like, who even thinks of Oklahoma and Oklahoma City Thunder, but made it to the finals twice in the last 10 years. This is the first time Oklahoma City has ever had a win of a professional team, because this is the only professional team in the state. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, props to OKC Thunder doing the damn thing.
Props to them, and the fact that they really give back to their community, and that is not just about the money, but it's about pouring back into the people who are make up the fabric of that beautiful city. I'm gonna need to come and make a visit to Oklahoma City, because you've
Yeah,
been there for a couple of years and I haven't visited yet. But
absolutely. Do it up.
I'm
So
I'm
so that's
hoping.
who I'm giving reverence to. Who needs to do better, be lovely? Who you telling us needs to do better for our
Okay, so you were just recently talking about Ashanti. Ashanti has a new reality TV show on Peacock called Nelly and Ashanti. If you're not familiar, Ashanti's a very popular R&B singer from the early 2000s. She's still relevant today. Whenever people think about Ashanti, they think about, her hit music, and the fact that she was this very, very attractive woman. Where every time you go on social media, she was always on vacation on somebody's island somewhere, never bothered. And she recently reconnected with an ex, Nelly, very popular rapper from the early 2000s. And in their show, like, they just got married, they just had a baby. On the show, Nelly was making comments saying how he wasn't going to be, changing any diapers, and he was going to let her deal with the baby. But once the baby turns 5 years old, then the baby's going to be coming out with the guys and all that stuff. And I had a really big problem with that, because our cousin, she has like two little kids, and I've helped her out, with the little ones, and it takes more than one person to help with a newborn, toddlers too. And for me, I just always think, it was more than one person to make this child. It's your responsibility, as a not only as a parent, but as an adult living in the same household with the child, to be there to, offer support, not only for the mother, but to make sure that the child's well-being is good. So I have a problem with the fact, and then there was guys who was commenting the same thing, saying, "Yeah, I let the woman deal with changing the baby's diaper and getting the baby food and stuff when it wakes up in the middle of the night." And what a lot of guys don't understand is that when women, after they give birth and stuff, their hormones drop very drastically, and they deal with something called postpartum depression. So if you're dealing with your hormones, you created this whole entire human being, you went through this life threatening experience of giving birth, because there's a chance for most women to die during childbirth because it's that serious, with complications and stuff. To not want to be helpful and to leave all of the responsibility on a woman is very, I don't want to say it's angering to me, but it's very distasteful to me, because if you laid down to make that baby, you should be responsible enough to get up and help with the child. If you hear the baby crying, pick up the baby, get the baby some food, change the baby's diapers, play with the baby and all that stuff. Why leave all that responsibility on one person, especially your partner who you claim to love and care about? Because when I love and care about my cousin, when I was down there helping her with her baby, whenever I heard the baby crying, if I was available and up and I saw like she was tired and needed help, I didn't even need to ask. It was just natural for me to go and help and take care so that she can rest and, get her pour back into her cup and stuff, because it takes a lot taking care of a baby. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
It's so funny because I saw a video of this man talking about how Nelly is 50 years old and how much money he's worth, and
Mhm.
it's how Ashanti is who wanted the baby and it makes less money, and what are they even doing in New York? And I didn't even know the context. I don't know why I watched this video and didn't even know the context. So I appreciate you providing it. What I was thinking about though is, as you said, like it takes two to make a baby, that people have their own, couples especially, like they have their own agreements and their own arrangements. And let me be super, super clear. I am not blaming Ashanti at all for getting in this situation. But also, I would like to think that when they made the decision to have a child together, that they had a conversation about agreements. And I think that is very important. If two people choose to have a baby together, that you are clear on what your agreements and expectations are before you move through that experience of conception. And I don't know how this baby was conceived, but I do know that,
Mhm.
and it also helps that I'm speaking from somebody who, as somebody who is not at all heterosexual, I wouldn't find myself accidentally pregnant. Like it's a decision that has to be made. And so,
Yeah.
like I understand, I understand to some degree. I don't know anything about my pleasure coming with, there might be a baby that comes out of this experience. That is not the kind of practice that I engage in. And so I imagine there has to be a lot of um uh, you know preparation, responsibility for when two people who could produce a baby by engaging in their pleasurable activities together, have to really be proactive about, and knowing that if you're going to make some steps where a baby could be conceived, at minimum having a conversation about those expectations. And you do what you do, you decide what you decide, and your outcome is what it is.
I think parents, well, people before they have children need to realize you have to be completely selfless. Like I've heard that before, but I didn't really. I got a real crash course in it last summer when I was down in Raleigh for a month helping our cousin with the new baby. And there was times like, if I was in the middle about to do something for myself, and either the newborn or the 1-year old needed something, it came from a place of love of being like, okay, I need to be selfless and, help with this little tiny human being. Because first of all, this child did not ask to be here. And it's the responsibility of adults, if a child is around, to make sure that that child is safe, provided for, and and is in a healthy, nurturing environment. And I just think, when you are, I don't want to say coulda, shoulda, woulda with Ashanti, but I think that if partners are going to have children, you need to be selfless and move from a place of love, not just, caring about this child, but caring about your partner and helping to carry that work, that load, so that it's not all on one person, because that can lead to burnout. And burnout paired with postpartum depression, no matter how much money you have, it's not going to help combat postpartum depression. And that support, especially from your partner, can really make a difference with that experience of dealing with postpartum after childbirth.
That is the best point ever. Because regardless of agreements, that's oftentimes how are you going to prepare for the emotional outcome of that experience that comes from having given birth? Again, a thing I don't know anything about. So, thank you for bringing this up to the people, for making it clear that there is an opportunity for those of us who have experienced childbirth to recognize the value of participating in a village environment. And whether Nelly is paying for nannies or whatever it is that they're doing, that it is incumbent upon each one of us to recognize that this human being did not ask to be put on this planet, and it is incumbent upon all of us to support one another, especially mothers with what they are experiencing. So
Mhm.
I feel like that, I was like, is that a perfect setup? I'm gonna say it
That's
is.
the perfect setup for your next segment.
That's what I think it is. Making peace with your inner shit talker, and making peace with your inner shit talker. I speak of a practice within this 90-day program that I wrote about identifying the presence of your inner wisdom and trusting your inner wisdom to guide you, and recognizing that when we give our inner critic our power, that letting our inner critic drive the show doesn't serve us. So it's a 90-day practice designed to help us reorient our way and walk through life. And today, I personally, I mentioned some time ago that I started a group to support other people, including myself, through this 90-day practice. And we came together on day 90 on Sunday. And where I am on this practice is day 25. So, despite that we've been in 90 days of something around this practice, where I am, where I've been, I don't want to use the word stuck, but the question that I am in, it's the reflection question, is, do you believe in the power of gratitude? And it's been, I haven't written my Substack article about it yet. Like, yes, for sure, me 100%, absolutely. I got this best day ever right behind me to remind me just how much I believe in the power of gratitude. And also, I've had a lot of challenges in the last couple of weeks, so I've really needed to like sit with it, dig into it. I still have, whenever I write the article, will be when I'm officially done with this day's practice and ready for the next one. But this gratitude thing, I've been in for a couple weeks, and I'm still in it. So
Yeah.
lovely, you look like you were ready to hop up with thoughts and feelings. Now I'm ready to hear them.
Yeah, because whenever I pray, like I've always moved from a place of you can't expect to get more if you're not grateful with what you have now. So, like when I do my prayers, I always start with the place of gratitude, like being grateful for the little things, like having clothes on my back, a roof over my head, not having to worry about where my next meal is coming from, because those are things that we can easily take for granted. I even pray and say thank you for the fact that I have a reliable transportation to get me to and from where I need to go safely. Because I remember when I didn't have a car and I had to rely on public transportation. Shout out to public transportation, but there's nothing like leaving when you want and going somewhere when you want, not having to rely on anybody. So I definitely believe that when you are grateful for what it is that you have, then you are entrusted with more, and you open yourself up to receive even more blessings in your life.
Beautiful. I appreciate that wisdom. That's been what I've been focused on, and I'm seeing the necessity of waking up with that idea of really focusing on what is working for me, celebrating what is working for me, and
Yeah.
really rebuilding this gratitude practice, this best day ever energy practice that I have fallen out of habit. So, what I would love to do as we are coming to the end of our show is to pray us out on this best day ever quality. How's that feel for you?
It sounds great. Let's do it.
Fantastic. So I invite us all to take a moment to get comfortable in the spaces and places that we occupy, bringing our conscious attention and awareness to our own understanding of spirit, of God, of source, whatever word resonates most, knowing that the power of gratitude fully supports us, that our own inner wisdom, inner guidance is identifying the areas and spaces and opportunities to celebrate who we are, the life that we have. And I'm grateful to trust and know that this episode has provided whatever wisdom, inspiration, insight is needed to create a world of gratitude, to create, to participate in this best day ever energy that is streaming throughout the planet. I'm grateful for this episode, grateful for this prayer, and grateful to trust and know that this energy of gratitude leads to a transformation of love, life, and blessings. And in gratitude, I invite us to affirm this prayer however we are most comfortable. I choose to close by saying, and so it is.
Amen. Thank you for that prayer. And thank you to everyone at home who is joining us for another episode of What's Up and Why. We'll be back next Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm Miss B Lovely.
And I am Reverend Casey Taylor. Have the best day ever.